Well, hello everybody and welcome once again to the Red Shadow's favorite games. I'm the Red Shadow, and in this video I will be talking about a PC game that I just covered in a previous video not that long ago in an unboxing, and that is Riven, the sequel to Myst. This is for the PC. There are also versions of this on other formats. I know that this was released for the PlayStation 1 because I've kind of been watching some auctions for that on eBay recently. But the Riven, the sequel to Myst, is, as the videos, or as the name says, I don't know why I'm thinking videos, talking about YouTube recently. But as the name suggests, it's the sequel to Myst. Now, if you don't know what Myst is, you've either been living under a rock or you're probably just too young to know about PC gaming from the 90s. PC gaming in the 90s and PC gaming today are two completely different worlds. Nowadays, when people think about PC gaming, they think about things like Elder Scrolls, Skyrim, and Oblivion, and all the crazy mods for that. They think about Call of Duty games and Battlefield and new stuff like Titanfall. They think about all these competitive multiplayer games that you play online. They think of MMORPGs from World of Warcraft to Star Wars: The Old Republic, the new Elder Scrolls Online, etc., etc. But PC gaming in the 90s, when I was first exposed to it, when I was, just hitting my 20s, early 20s, was all about games like Myst, point-and-click adventures, Broken Sword, Phantasmagoria, the X-Files game that I've already had a video of in this series. And I miss that kind of gaming. It's not full 3D, it's not super realistic, although they go for photorealism / video realism in these games. This one, I'm going to show the strategy guide, but in Riven, kind of like Myst, well, okay, let me explain Myst for a second. Myst had a lot of placeholder screens. Imagine this is a screen, and you have your cursor and you move around on it, and if there's something that you can manipulate, the cursor might change. And if you want to look in a different direction, you go to the left or the right and click so that you could look left and to the right. And all of a sudden you'd have a new scene. You'd have, this is the scene in front of you, and then over here is something else, and it brings you to look in that direction. Sorry if that's kind of a weird way to describe that, but that's kind of how I see how it works. You look at a static screen as if you were looking forward, and then if you want to look over to the left or the right, you would click to those directions, and now all of a sudden you're looking over here or over there, etc., etc. And that's how you navigate around the world. In Myst, it was a lot of highly detailed, think of it like a painting or something. Somebody painted a painting of a scene and in a world, and then they painted what it would look like to move around in the directions, as I said before. It looked nice, but it wasn't super realistic. With Riven, a lot of the environments in this, I don't think it's going to show up too well here on these pictures here, but they made an attempt to look a lot more photorealistic, and they used a lot of actual full motion video for transition scenes and cut scenes in this one. And that helped to give it, like I said, the realism that Myst didn't necessarily have. But more than that, what I loved about this is how, I use this term a lot in some of these videos for the games that I play, but it's the immersion factor of how realistic these games feel. It's the atmosphere that exudes from these tranquil scenes of water. Some of these scenes you walk up to something and all you hear is the sound of the water splashing underneath the walkway you're about to cross. The wind blowing the clouds through the sky. This is not a game that has a lot of music in it, like driving you to push through. It's very serene, it's very quiet, and you move around it, and it makes it, like I said, it makes it feel real. It makes it feel like you are on this island, you're in this world. and I love fighting with this TV to keep giving me better light. But this game just drips with that. It's just awesome. It continues the story of Myst, and if I'll be honest with you, if I were to try to sit here and explain the story to it, I would just go cross-eyed. It's a very detail-heavy story about books that are written that create worlds that you can access, and your character has to go in there to save some guy, I think. And like I said, the story is not one that I can remember well enough to try to explain it, but it would kind of ruin the point of the games, which is to explore and unlock information about that world. So if you're familiar with point-and-click adventure games, or if you would want to see a point-and-click adventure game, I would suggest getting into the Myst series, and therefore I wouldn't want to ruin anything about the story and let too much out in a video like this. So that'll be my excuse for not trying to explain more about it. But like I said, it's worth checking out if you can handle a game that's not going to be action intensive. You're just going to sit down, click in the environment, watch the little scenes unfold, solve puzzles. For me, for a guy of my mental acuity, you need a strategy guide to get through some of these puzzles. If you're super smart, you'll probably do all right without it. But I had to go with the strategy guide and look it up online in my early days of playing through, and I'd probably have to refer to it now if I played it again. It's been quite a few years since I've played this. But anyway, I don't want to go too on and on and on about this. Riven, the sequel to Myst, it's really, really great. Myst is worth checking out. Some of the sequels that came out after this are worth... I just remember there being like Exile and Uru, and I know I'm overlooking another one, but actually I guess... yeah, the third one was called Exile, then there was one called Uru, but there's something else in there that I'm missing, and I can't see the strategy guides quite that well from here. But yeah, I think my train of thought went off the tracks there somehow. But check it all out. Also, and I was going to show that, and I forgot to grab it. So maybe I'll show it in another video at another time. But they had a parody game to Myst that was called Pissed. P-Y-S-T. And it's pretty hilarious. It stars John Goodman and a few other just, random actors that aren't necessarily well known like John Goodman. But it was a parody of Myst in that it showed what the islands of Myst looked like after millions of people had traipsed their way through it. And what that means is it's playing off the fact that at one point, I think before The Sims came along, Myst was the highest selling PC game of all time. And so Pissed was basically an exploration into what it looks like when like 4 or 5 million people have bought a game and adventured through the world, and what it would look like. It would be trashy, it would look like a tourist trap now, and that's what they were doing in that. And I have that Pissed game somewhere up on the shelf in my collection, but I didn't think to grab it before I started recording, so like I said, for another time. But check that one out too. It's good for a laugh. Play Myst if you haven't already, then play Pissed. Or if you played Myst but maybe you somehow or another didn't, hear about Pissed when it came out all those years ago, go seek it out and give it a look-see and see if you don't think that it isn't quite hilarious and accurate. Alright guys, well that wraps it up for this video. Riven, the sequel to Myst, that's another one of the Red Shadow's favorite games. And I'll see you soon with another video. I think I'm going to jump onto another PlayStation 1 RPG. So, we'll see you in that video.